Good day, everyone. I am Coach Joseph. That is Dr. Mia, and that is Dr. Misty. Today on Ageless Intimacy. Today we're going to be talking about Talk Dirty to Me. Oh my goodness.
God.
I am so excited about this. Couples Communication 101. Now, I know for a fact in our studies and training and things like that, Doc, this is one of the things that, man, if it's not money, the communication can really mess the relationship up. You want
Yes.
to chime in?
Oh, so yes, communication, communication, communication. All day long. That is what I'm talking to people about because I don't understand what is actually so difficult about communication, but how they do it and how comfortable they are when it comes to doing it. Like people just they don't talk about sex, they don't talk about changes in their body, they don't talk about what they're feeling, how they're feeling, and it causes so many problems, and it causes people to have huge disconnections. And then if they don't catch those quick, then we have even bigger issues.
Right, right. Before you keep going, Dr. Missy.
Yes, yes, I have got to introduce my wonderful
Yes,
friend and
please.
colleague, Dr. Misty Smith. Thank you, Dr. Misty Smith. We are so excited to have you here with us, and I love having these fireside chats with you all about our relationships and communication and all the things that are so important to many of us who watch Ageless Vitality podcast, where we really focus on the midlife journey. So let me introduce y'all to the Dr. Misty Smith, who is also the owner of a practice called, tell them the name of the practice, Dr. Misty.
Well, for short, we go MBH wellness, but mind, body, and heart wellness because we
Mind,
Yes,
body.
I knew I was going to mix that up, so that's why I
all
wanted you to say it.
yes.
But Dr. Misty Smith is a supervising licensed professional counselor in the state of Alabama since 2002, and she is a national board certified counselor. She has been providing counseling services in a variety of settings for 15 plus years. This is why I absolutely love to have conversations with Dr. Misty Smith, though. It's because she is a certified sex therapist through the best organization. I won't give you all the letters because it won't matter. But she is a level 3 Gottman Method couples therapist, which means she has done extensive study in sex therapies, couples, relationship, which has to always include communication, which brings us to our conversation today on the Ageless Vitality podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about couples communication one on one, and she's going to teach us how to talk dirty to each other. And we are going to tackle this whole communication around hormones, the changing body, the changes in relationships that happen as we go through this midlife journey. So from there, I'm going to let Dr. Misty Smith just get us started on some of the problems that she notices in relationships during this time, because you do couples counseling as well as individual, right?
Yes.
So just talk a little bit about this midlife journey, the changes in hormones and the changes in relationships that can cause some real issues.
So, starting outside the bedroom, that's where we'll start. So, starting outside the bedroom is really important, whether it is complimenting your partner or sending flirty texts to your partner, or just again talking about what is actually going on with your body, especially at this midlife time, because it is a constant conversation. Because I, I said it is amazing at when I hit menopause, what suddenly I was here, and then all of a sudden I was completely different thought process, completely different things going on in my body. And I was like, I really understand this now. And I really also am not a fan. So,
Right.
um, but it is a journey that we have to take. And I think if we can't communicate about a journey, it would be like getting in our car with our partner, saying, not discussing where we're going and having no GPS.
Whew.
What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
And
We're in
it
1990 again.
right.
Right.
I don't know how we ever survived.
Right.
Right.
But that's where we're going to start, and thinking about building comfort with affectionate language before we try using more explicit language. We say dirty talk, and some people are just great at dirty talk. It just comes natural for them, and for other people, even just talking about sex outside of having sex is completely foreign, and they don't know how to do it.
Yeah. So let me ask you, Dr. Misty, do you think it'll make it easier for people to communicate, especially because men, we communicate different than women and vice versa, right? And everybody communicates different. But in a relationship, do you think it'll make it a little easier if people know each other's love language?
100%. Yes. Because, well, first of all, if we know each other's love language and we want to speak each other's love language, we're already more connected. And
Right.
when we feel more connection, it's easier to communicate about everything.
Right.
If
Right.
if I feel like we're in if my love language is words of affirmation, and
Mhm.
I've not received any words of affirmation in a while, then I feel disconnected. I may not feel loved or desired. And even if I want to talk about something, uh, it's it might be for some people, coming into counseling feels really awkward that first time
Yeah.
because they don't know what they can say or what they should say, or they're just trying to get to know you because they've never met you as the therapist. And so it may take a minute. Well, I find that couples probably actually have more more trouble talking to each other at times than I have people having trouble coming in my office and telling me their whole life story in an hour, because there's not a disconnect between me and that person,
Hmm.
but we're building a connection. So we do this when we
Hmm.
date. We build a connection. There's not even been time for a disconnect. But when you're talking about couples who are having, whether they've been married for a while or they have a sexual relationship, there's been time for a disconnect to happen. And now it would be like me walking up to a stranger on the street and saying, "Hey, let me tell you about my sex life."
Right.
I,
Because you
I
hadn't
mean,
been communicating.
I'm probably not going to do that, because that I don't know what their response is going to be. And I think that's what the couples that I work with often have, is that, well, I would tell them that, but how are they going to respond? What are they going to do? Are they going to get defensive? Are they going to be angry? Are they going to shut down? Are we going to stop? Are we now going to be even more disconnected than we were? And so I really try to encourage for people to just start from the beginning of a relationship talking about all of these things and never stop. We're having
Hmm.
those
Right.
conversations daily or weekly, but we're not going big, long periods of time without discussing something that's more intimate for our relationship.
So,
Okay.
so what are some tips that you would give a couple? Let's do a couple that's been married for a few years, let's say 10, 15, 20, 25 years. They've been married. Their bodies are starting to change. Their hormones are changing. So as a result, they may be a little bit more irritable, have decreased desire.
Yeah.
What are some things that they can do to learn how to more effectively communicate and to feel more comfortable communicating with each other? Like, what are some almost like exercises that they can do to
Okay.
improve communication so that they can be more intimate?
Okay. So you've got to have somebody who's brave enough to break the silence and actually open it up. So I work with people on how to say certain things based on their situation, but simply starting off with things like, "I miss feeling close to you. I miss our time together," opens a door for them to talk about it. Um, you have to get there first, because again, it doesn't matter what other exercises I give you if you can't if that door is slammed shut and there's a concrete wall on the other side of it, it is really going to make it difficult to break through that. So understanding, like, your partner wants to talk to you, they miss you, they feel like they need that connection again, helps to give a little vulnerability to the situation, and
Hmm.
maybe helps their partner be a little bit more vulnerable as well. So
And I,
remember,
I I
oh, go
like the way you said that because a lot of times people blame. So coming to approaching someone with how something makes you feel kind of breaks down that antagonistic conversation, and it's more about like how I need you to help me feel, but you're not necessarily doing anything wrong. But what can
right,
we do? You know, so I
right.
like that you said to start with yourself first and not blaming and pointing the finger at your partner.
Yes, and I get, and this is a little bit different, but because this is whether it's sexual or hormonal or whatever, but I encourage people to do something like I call it a withholdings exercise, but sometimes we don't say to our partner what, like if you did something really great, but maybe we don't have a great connection right now, I might look at that and go, "Oh, that was sweet," but I might not tell you that. And I might just be trying to think about it. And then so on the weekends, once a week, twice a week, that you sit down together and this is the exercise. You give one positive thing that you've seen your partner do during the course of the week that you haven't told them that they
Hmm.
did. Then you give a negative. Now, when I say a negative, I explained to somebody yesterday that I don't mean it has to actually be a negative, that it more has to be like a need, maybe. Maybe it is something terrible that happened during the week that really shut you guys down and you need to talk about, but it can also be a need. And when you start this activity, really focus on a we statement there, not a you statement. So I did not feel like we made efforts to connect this week or spend time
Mm,
together this week, or I feel like we were really, on edge with each other this week, or I feel like we did not make time for sex this week. And I would like for us to do a better job next week. Or, and then follow it up with another positive, something that you maybe you have said to them already, but you want to reiterate it because it was so good. And then your partner's only response in that moment can be thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. And then the other partner takes their turn. The only response they can do is thank you. And then they have to walk away and not discuss it for 12 to 24 hours.
mm,
Because if I gave you constructive criticism as a partner, often you want to turn around and defend that.
hmm.
Or I also tell people they have to write their negative down before they come into this conversation, because if I tell you I don't think we made efforts to have enough sex this week, then your negative might be something related to that, and because you might change it and shift it. So you have to write your negatives down so that
Can't change
you,
it.
you can't change it, and you can't kind of use it against your partner when you get
Hmm.
to your turn.
Mhm.
But then think about those things over the course of that 12 to 24 hours. Think about what that negative was. What were those positives? Okay, my wife wants to see more of this. My husband wants to see more of this. But then you can come into that later and say, I need to ask more questions. I need to understand better. Or I heard you, and this is how I think we can make those changes this week, or this is how I would like for us to work on it. So that's a practical, actual activity that I give people on a regular basis to try to open up the lines of communication for putting in something that is a need that you feel like you can't say because maybe you're just not in that place to really talk.
All
Hmm.
right, I'm gonna start some shit. Okay. How difficult is it for a woman not to bring it up in the next 12 to 24 hours?
That is the challenge. That is the challenge.
Because
And
I'm trying to think if I told Mia something, it's gonna be 30 minutes. You can be like, well,
ah,
I that's not. and I was, and
That's
so
the old Mia. The new Mia is
that's
not
the
coming.
Mia that's sitting on the other side of this room right now. Shoot. I'm just trying to
That's
think
funny.
12 to 24 hours. And I
That's
don't know if I'm
perfect
gonna
though, because it
survive.
gives you time to really think about it and not try to respond to it, and you actually have to marinate on it. You know what I mean? So I'm
But
like,
this is something you probably shouldn't do before bed time.
Right. So
Not if
this,
you plan on getting
unless you're
some a
saying
night
something,
of
unless you're saying something positive back, that'll,
afterwards.
yeah. If it's
Yeah.
right before bedtime, and I'm like, you know what, I can,
It could,
after thinking
I
about
could
it, I
see it
can
being a
really
bedtime
appreciate.
discussion. Like, I like it when you do it like this.
hmm
Not
yeah.
saying that I don't like it when you do it like that, but I like it when you do it like this.
Right.
That could be a bedtime discussion.
Very
Yeah.
much a
Yeah.
bedtime
So,
discussion.
okay.
And
All right.
because we could actually,
I guess that could be okay.
if we're leaning into the intimacy part of it
Right.
in that moment,
Right.
you really can't. I mean, that conversation could actually just lead to sex.
Right.
Hmm.
Uh,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and maybe you don't have to think too much on it because maybe if the need is, I need you to do it this way, then you don't talk about it. You just act on it.
Action,
Hmm.
right? Create action.
Hmm.
Okay. Let's take a couple steps back because I think one of the things that all of us is on this midlife journey, and men are changing. Women menopause, men andropause, and we're all changing, right? And on my side of things, we don't even know we have this change we're going through hormonally, right? And so, how is it? Or what's some of the best ways, because I don't think there's one best way, but what's some of the best ways that both men and women can kind of communicate the sexual differences that we're going through, right? Like, the erection is not getting as hard as it used to.
You're not having orgasms as
The orgasms
easily.
are not coming like they used to. Just being
Discomfort.
tired, being not being explaining I am right now too tired to have sex, or things like that,
Or
or
my
what
desire is just not there, but
my
it's not
desire is
because I
just
don't
not
love
there.
you,
So just
it's
basically sexually, how is the best way, or what are one of the best ways we can possibly communicate that we're going through this change, and how should we do it? Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because when you say that, I think how can we communicate something that so many people don't understand
At all,
at
right?
all in the first
Right.
place? So I think if for people to actually talk about it, they have to figure out that that's what's going on with their
Hmm.
bodies.
Hmm.
Because as you know, as hormones take those dips, we can feel less desirable. I know as a woman, you know, going through this change, I've like looked in the mirror and gone, oh, uh, gross. That's not good. What's happening to my body? What's happening to this? What's happening to that? And learning about those things and understanding them helps me be able to talk about them. So when I find that my desire is non-existent, my conversation with my husband might be, I want so badly to want to have sex. And but it is like there is no fire in in my
I, th-
body right now.
I think what you just said was clear because it's a different way of communicating. Was actually going to, I want so badly to want to have sex. You
Right.
know, I think that is a great way of telling your partner, I really want you. I don't have the
my
desire.
body just not telling me I want you.
Yeah, I
Right.
love
Not
you. I
cooperating.
want you, but my body's not agreeing with what I really feel.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I think that's really important. I want so much to want. I think that's really
Hmm.
important. That's phenomenal. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
take that quote. You
Yeah,
may want to
absolutely.
trademark
Absolutely.
that.
Because I think it gets kind of, I'm not gonna say embarrassing, but I think it gets to a point of being uncomfortable with just trying to express that little bit to your partner. Because it's something like you said, we really don't know is happening, and we really just don't know what's going on. So I think is that's something really cl- clear of way saying, hey, it's not you. I want you. I
Right.
just, it's not here. I don't, and it's not you, you
Right.
know? And
Well,
again, another way, like you said, you have to know in order to express that information or at least give that solution or say that to a person, you have to really know what's going on with
Your
yourself.
body.
Yeah.
With
yes.
Yeah. I
yourself.
think for us as men, um, I think it becomes embarrassing as we get older. And I think we're not trusting our partner enough with the most intimate thing to
And
us, which
vulnerable. I mean, you have to be
yeah,
so
vulnerable,
vulnerable.
yeah,
Yeah.
not being vulnerable enough because sometimes our partner has the answer. And so we're not trusting them with the most vulnerable part of us of saying, it's not that I don't want you, it's that I'm kind of embarrassed that I'm not having the erection I used to have.
Correct.
You know, it's not that I don't want you, it's just that I don't have that desire, like you said. So I think for us is having a conversation amongst us as well, men, which we don't do. We try to encourage, but we don't do that. And you know, uh, sometimes we do need to go see a therapist. Which we think most people need to see a therapist anyway.
Right.
But I don't think we're having honest conversations when we go see these therapists.
Hmm.
You
Oh,
know.
but I got a harder question. Let's flip side there. So what I noticed in my practice, because as y'all know, I'm a board certified gynecologist, and I really focus on hormone therapy, hormone balance, anti-aging, and intimacy. So I have a lot of women that come to me because of their menopausal symptoms. A lot of times, their main reason for coming, I would say the main three would be fatigue, weight gain, and decreased sex drive. Those are the three main concerns. So
Hmm.
I fix them, I test their hormones, balance their hormones. They're feeling great. They want to have sex. They've treated their vaginal tissue now. They are lubricated. They can have orgasms again. But their significant other does not realize that he has too changed. His erections may not be as hard. He may not have as much desire. Now he's more irritable. His body is changing. My body is changing. So I want to know the most difficult level 5 communication on how do we as women, and then you can flip it to how do men have that same conversation with their wives when they are the person that needs the help, but they not necessarily saying it, and we want to say it, but we want to say it in a very loving and respectful way that's going to be productive. So how do we flip that hard conversation to, hey buddy, I need you to help me help you?
Yes. And that comes with if we as women know what's going on with our bodies, we are well aware that it's a hormonal change. So we learn how to speak that language, right? And I mean, the group that I have on Fridays is like perimenopause, menopause group. And it's really learning about what's going on in our bodies so that we can speak the language with our doctor, speak that language with our partners.
Hmm.
So if you know how to say those things about yourself, then going to your partner, your spouse, husband, whatever, and saying, "Hey, I've learned a lot about hormones lately. I would love it if you would go get your hormones checked. Like, when's the last time you had those checked? Because, I mean, I have changes going on in my body, and I think we probably should address maybe the ones that might be going on in your body too, and
That's
see
a
if
nice way to say it.
if that spurs a conversation. And because men don't like the problem with a lot of us is that when we feel something going on with our body that's different, we don't like it, man or woman, we will just stop having sex or stop having as much sex instead of trying to figure out, I need to have a conversation with my doctor. I need to have a conversation with my partner. So steering away from sex just is a massive disconnection point and causes issues like cheating and those kinds of things that we don't like in marriages. So if we can learn about ourselves, so for to each and every one, we are always, I use the language of you are responsible for your orgasm.
I agree
Your partner is
100%.
not responsible for it. They
You hear
may be
that,
the
Doc?
one that does the
I know
thing that's
that.
amazing to you that gets you the orgasm, but you are responsible for yours. So if
Right.
you are
No.
having issues,
Hmm.
you figure you out. And
And communicate it.
yes, and then communicate about that to your partner. And then that door opens a little bit easier because if I'm saying, I want sex, but it's not happening for me, and I go learn the things that I can take and do, and then suddenly I have this stronger desire, and maybe he's not because maybe he's having issues, then I can say, hey, I notice I have this great desire now, and we're not having a lot of sex, and I'm just curious as to what that is. I mean, I've had that conversation with my husband where I'm like, do you actually ever want to have sex, because you don't initiate very often? And he's like, I do, but you know like I get in the bed and I fall asleep, I'm just so tired.
Hmm.
Well, why are you so tired? What if you maybe you should go see the doctor, maybe you should go talk to them about what's going on in your body,
Right.
because if you as a man are saying no because you're tired and you're falling asleep, then were you doing that 10 years ago or 15 years ago, or would sleep have even mattered?
Mhm.
So let's talk about like what's going on. Now, if it's an erection issue, it is a little more sensitive. It's almost the same as like a woman not getting lubricated. What is if a man is go doesn't take it personally, right? Maybe they're the ones in the know on this is maybe a midlife thing, then it is, baby, I have noticed some changes when we have sex, that it's, you're not as hard. Or maybe you're not having orgasms as often, or it's taking longer. Is there something going on physically for you? And I think we always need to lean into the, is there something physical going on? But unfortunately, many times, if a woman's not getting lubricated, the man thinks she's not
Yeah.
attracted to him. And
Yeah.
if the man isn't getting a rock hard erection every time, a woman thinks he's not attracted to her.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
And that is not usually the case.
No.
Right. Right.
Like I would
And
say 95% of the time, that is not the case.
right.
So having having those like discussions about this is what's going on with my body. If this is what's going on with my body, then maybe that's what's going on with yours. And let's start with a physical examination and blood work before we start with, are you having an affair?
Right.
Yeah,
That
because
part.
the lack of knowledge, and it's I must say it's probably generational. The assumption of these are the things that just happen as you age,
Oh,
right? Because we grew up in the times where, I think all of us are old enough to know our grandparents probably sleeping in separate rooms and things like that. And we just thought that was, just seeing it from a young person, we just thought that's how life will end up,
Yeah.
to where, um, your grandparents who probably, to be honest with you, our grandparents back then, probably the age I am now.
that's so makes me feel old.
Right, right.
Thanks, Joseph.
No, but I'm
Like
just saying,
really, yeah.
I'm 55 years old,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking about, my son's 30 something, and my daughter, and if he had a kid, I would be that kid, and so I'm thinking about, our grandparents no more than 60 years old were sleeping in separate bedrooms, right?
Yes.
Um, I mean, and they had other issues, sleep apnea. We didn't know about that then, you know. How you can treat menopause. We didn't know anything about that then. We just went through it, right? And,
Right.
andropause was not even a thing until what? Early
Yesterday.
2000s,
Look,
right?
yesterday.
Early,
Yeah.
maybe early 2000s, maybe, so we knew nothing of any of this stuff. So the conversation is fresh and new now that we're older, we're healthier older people,
Right.
with healthier older people. And we remember what sex feel like, and we want to have that memory every time.
Right.
Right.
You want to
So
enjoy it.
the conversation is a little more difficult, but it's really fresh because we're not chalking up the aging part to saying this is just what happened when you get older. We're refusing to let that be the scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we do know that if you get certain illnesses, things can happen where it's gonna be a little bit harder. But at the same time, we're just refusing to do that. So at this point, it's very important that we learn as men and to how to communicate with our partners, our wives or our partners on, hey, I got a problem or I'm noticing something different.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So I think
But
that's
but so here's a tougher conversation. So I had a patient, a lot of times I ask some patient, you sleeping good, your sex drive good, you still having orgasms. It's just like the normal questions that I would ask somebody, who come in for a gynecology appointment. They're like, and a lot of women are like, orgasms, like, nah, I mean. And some of them even say that they pretend that they having orgasms. Like, you pretend that you having orgasms
yeah.
and you're not. So you making your
Ooh,
husband think that you have an orgasm
ooh.
and you ain't having one? What?
Why? I don't understand the pretend. Is the pretend part,
For
and I
the
mean,
for the
is
for
the
their
pretend
husband, they
part
don't want to
to
make him
save
feel
the
like,
ego, to save
no.
the ego of the man?
Huh? It's the
Yes.
same. Yes,
Sometimes.
that's what it
Yes.
is. A lot of
It is.
times that's what it, or it's because they really don't want to have sex anyway. So they want him to finish faster. So they rather pretend they had an orgasm so he'll leave them alone and he can go ahead and have an orgasm and it can be over.
Yep.
Or it can be that, you know, it's an ego thing for women. Women have egos too, because I have patients that come in all the time at 55 and I'm like, oh, so you're not doing anything to treat your vaginal tissue? They're like, oh, I don't need that. I'm like, yes, you do. I just did your exam. Your vaginal tissue changes. You need some help with your vag. So women have ego things too. And then when you ask women about orgasms, to some women, that's an ego thing. Like if you're not having an orgasm, that's a big problem, but they don't know how to communicate with their partner to help them have orgasm.
Right.
Yeah.
So why pretend? I mean, this is just me asking, as a man, for all men who may be listening. Hell with our ego. Like, why pretend? Because if you pretend, we're never going to take care of the issue.
Correct.
Right. It's
Yes.
probably better to have. That's why we talk about this. We're talking about talking dirty, right? Talk dirty to me, right? In one
Yeah.
on one communication, couple communication 101. If you pretend, we're never gonna have this conversation. I'm thinking I'm knocking the back out, and
Right. And you
you
you ain't
you're
doing nothing.
pretending. You're pretending the whole time, and not doing anything. And then all of a sudden, everybody's um unhappy in a relationship, and
Yes.
then it comes out in the streets, you ain't doing nothing. So,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
uh,
Well, and a lot of times it's interesting. This is for any age man, but men, how when I see individuals, I will ask him, is your wife having an orgasm? Is your partner having an orgasm? Whatever. And it's amazing at the number of times I get the response, yeah, I think so.
mm,
And I'm like, how do you not know so? Like, you may not be able to tell physically that
right,
she's
right,
having an orgasm because women's orgasms look different than men's.
right.
But do you are sitting here looking at me with this look on your face that says you don't actually know that
Don't
100%.
know. Yeah, for
Why
But
are
you
sure.
don't
you
even
not
ask.
talking about that? Because that post-coital like communication of, babe, that was the best orgasm I've ever had, or I love it when you do that, or maybe we should do more of this so that I can get to orgasm quicker, or we need to change this. Like, they're not having those conversations. They're not talking about the basic things, and they're just guessing and assuming. And I'm so confused by that often because I just think that I will never say, I think he's having orgasms.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
gonna ask
it,
you, did you have an orgasm?
yes. Like, if I'm in question, I'm going to say, did you finish? Did you have
Right.
an orgasm? And I want the truth when I ask that question, right? I don't want to lie, which I assume men don't want that either. But I don't think that they're always even asking. If she's tired and she's ready to be done, she will just fake it and move on.
I
And
think
he,
it's better that we protect the relationship and not the ego.
I agree.
I like that.
Because eventually it's going to become, some type of routine, like waking up and brushing your teeth, and you can only fake so much.
Right. I really like the way you did that. You said that though. I'm totally
Mhm.
going to use that now in
Me
the
too.
future. Like, are you here to protect your ego or your relationship?
Right,
Right,
right. Because I mean, you want everybody to be happy, right?
Right.
Because here is the thing though, right? And maybe some men think this, and maybe some women think this. If he or she is not happy, who's to say they won't find somebody who will make them happy? We go back to the affair and cheating thing, right?
Right.
Because it's very possible to be having sex with your partner just to please them, but not be pleased, and then go get it somewhere else where you're gonna be pleased,
Right.
right? So why fake it? Well, how about we address it? And then it might be a medical issue, and it might be a hormone issue, it might be an intimacy issue,
right.
right?
Or it might just be that I need you to do something a little bit differently because this is
Yes.
what's changed in my body, and now I like this. You know what I mean?
Right. Because we
Yes.
all change, we all change. I'm not going to be swinging from the chandelier like in the
Ever,
90s.
ever.
Not happening. Okay. We're not about to try some crazy off the wall type stuff. No, not happening. I do have limbs and legs that don't work like they used to work. I
Yes.
mean, I'm
And I
50
can't
plus.
easily catch a cramp.
Oh yeah, you can't catch a cramp, something, we might end up in a yoga session after this is over.
Right.
So we got within reason, we do have to find what pleasures us.
Yes.
Me and Doc been together for 26 years. So
Wow.
we have an idea, right? We have an idea, but we have noticed probably over the last 7, 8 years where we have changed, where things are
We
not the
have to
same.
do things, and we do
And I
things
pay attention. I
differently.
tell, she knows. I tell her, I'll be like, that wasn't a good erection for me. I let her know that was not a good erection for me. I might have to do some P waves or something, and I would let her know that. But I know I have changed that. And I have noticed that over the last 7 years. I know she's noticed things about her body. That's why we
Hmm.
do what we do. Just to
Yes.
be honest,
Yeah, because I'd be like, oh, I need to use my suppositories more often. You know what I
Right.
mean? I hadn't
That,
been using them because I
was
could
that dry to
tell.
you?
Right,
Was that dry to you?
right.
Right.
But we have a healthy communication on all levels, business, personal, intimacy. So,
Right.
and nobody's offended by anything, when we say stuff.
But if
So,
our feelings get hurt, we get over it because we both acknowledge the respect part and that we're saying things
yeah,
with respect
absolutely.
and out of love, you know.
Right. And plus,
Yeah.
this is what, on top of that, we are case studies for our business, we're case studies, so when we notice stuff, we take that in mind and we can apply it to what we do.
Right.
But I think it's just important that let's stop protecting these egos. Let's
Yes.
stop and protect the relationship, because
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you're not really protecting the relationship if you aren't talking about what's not working for you.
yeah, what's not working
If
for us?
if sex becomes uncomfortable for my husband
Yeah.
because of things that are going on with my body, but
Hmm.
I don't notice it maybe, or I don't want to say anything about it because he's not saying anything about it. Like he can bring that to the table and say, "Hey, babe, like I am noticing this is that you're on hormones, you're doing these things, like what's going on? If do we need to have a bottle of lube beside the bed all the time? Do we need to do this?" And so slowing down and using words even during sex, but
Hmm.
Hmm.
if you feel like it's a real concern and maybe you don't need to talk about it in the heat of the moment, then make sure that you save it, and when your clothes are back on, that you have a conversation about it. But there are those things that are in the heat of the moment. I mean, dang, like I'm suffering from some nerve pain in my leg right now from sex this week. This
Good
weekend,
job.
I
Good
was like,
job.
oh man, I said, I am in pain again. And I didn't have that happen when I was 25 and 30 and
Right.
35.
Right.
But at almost 50, you stay in a position too long and suddenly things don't work quite the same.
Uh,
So when there is a pain or a shift or anything, I'm not waiting until after sex to say,
Yeah. Like we can't
ooh,
do that no more.
no, we got to change this position, or hey babe, that hurts a little, like let's adjust. And he doesn't, it's not an ego thing for him, like he doesn't want to hurt me, I
right.
don't want to be hurting. If there's a position for him that in whatever couple, whether me or y'all or whatever, like if there's a position where his erection is better at this point in life, like I want to take advantage of that position because
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
he will enjoy it more, I will
Mm-hmm.
enjoy it more. That that may not have mattered 10, 15, 20
Right.
years ago to a couple,
Right. Right.
but now it does. And if he's, we're in this position and he's like not having an orgasm and not having an orgasm, then I'm going to say, hey, do we need to change positions? Like, we don't have to stay here if this is not pleasing for you, but we also don't have to have that massive conversation in the middle of sex, but rather just using playful words, having, hey, I'm too old for this position, babe, we're going to have to change.
Mhm.
Like in the middle of it, it's being fun, it's having fun, it's about educating each other on
Mm-hmm.
what your body needs now.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that education can happen in the middle of sex, and sometimes that education needs to happen with a real conversation like, hey, and I'll use lubrication because there's just so many women come in with that problem at this age. But hey, I love having sex with you, but I find that I'm not lubricating as much. I, can we please invest in a bottle of lube to put on the nightstand beside the bed so that we don't have to like go hunting for it in the middle of sex anymore?
Or can we do some things differently at the beginning so that I am more lubricated,
Yes. Yes.
Well,
like foreplay?
I was about to get to that. There's a foreplay part,
Yeah.
but at the same time, depending upon how long you're having sex and how many orgasms you plan on having, it still might have a lube problem. So,
Yeah.
get- so
Very
get you
true.
some coconut oil and throw on the side of that bed. That's there like a lamp. It lives like a lamp on the side of the bed, and that way, if needed, you can
It's
use it.
there.
And I
Yeah.
wanted to say this too, and this is for guys. If you're noticing dryness, don't be offended. Don't be offended. Especially if you're I don't want to call a woman of age. Don't
Right.
be offended. Because bodies go through transformation and things happen. So don't be offended. Get some coconut oil.
So to
Mhm.
every man and woman
Yeah.
out there who is with a partner, a woman who is I would say 40 or older, because
Yeah.
sometimes it happens early,
Right.
that the two things you need to get really comfortable with and never be offended by are lubrication and toys. Because if you mentioned the foreplay,
Yeah.
if you are not having enough foreplay to really get her body moving and things doing what they're supposed to do, then if we want to have quick sex, then she might need a little help.
Hmm.
And that is not to say that you are not amazing and you are not doing your job and she is not enjoying the heck out of it.
Yeah.
But it is to say that as a woman with, the loss of every hormone,
Right.
even when you are have hormones, sometimes you just need just that little bit of extra get up and go. And
Right.
Hmm.
or maybe she needs to get a little head start if sex isn't going to last for an hour.
Right.
um and that comes into the foreplay part, I think, comes into the knowing what not just your love language is, but what your sex language is.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
are you an energetic person? Does it have to be that you have this really strong emotional connection? Like, I'm not a person who does angry makeup sex. If I'm mad at you, I need to not be mad at you anymore. So
You
if
should create like a questionnaire, a quiz for
so
couples. Do you have
so
that?
so there is one. I didn't create it. I wish I could take credit for it. But there's a website out there called missjaya.com. So MISSJAIYA.com.
Mhm.
And she has it's called an erotic blueprint. And so it kind of figures out if you're a sexual, and a sexual is my, these are my short terms for it. A sexual is one is like, tell me you want to have sex and I'm ready, right? Show me boobs and
Mhm.
I'm ready. Take off your pants and I'm ready. Like, that's the sexual. Like, we were having dinner and you want to have sex, okay, let's go have sex. That they don't really need a lot of
Right.
anything except to hear the word, smell a smell, see a thing, and they're good.
Hmm.
And then you have the energetic, like I was talking about. If like that energy between us needs to be good.
Right.
So if you have a man who is an energetic, who, I'll have men who come in and they're like, I just can't get an, I just couldn't get an erection with this person. And I'm like, well, I mean, how long have y'all been dating? And maybe it was a one night stand, or it was somebody they had just met recently. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's not it's not a lack of attraction, it's not a lack of desire, it's just that you're not connected to that person emotionally enough yet that you feel like that your body is responding, right?
Hmm.
So if you are in a relationship with someone and you are not in a good headspace, maybe you've just had a fight, or maybe you haven't been connecting during the week and you've been doing kid stuff or what have you, then you may need a little one-on-one time, a little stimulating conversation, or you may need to go out on a romantic date or do something to kind of have that energy equalize again, and you're ready. There's the sensual person, which is, you can whether it's a massage, or maybe they go into the bedroom to have sex and the bedroom is a disaster, and the dog, I don't know, I don't have a dog, the dog crapped in the floor and now it smells like the dog. And you're like, and your partner's ready to go because they're a sexual, and you're like, there is nothing about this that makes me want to have sex.
Right. Right. Like
I
this
smell
atmosphere
I
is not
smell
the atmosphere.
yeah, I smell dog crap,
Yeah.
or it's too cold, or it's too
Hmm.
hot, or there's too much light, or too little light. Like, you're really impacted by a lot of the things that impact that are sensing related.
Right. Right.
So I joke and I say, in the beginning of my relationship with my husband, he would rub my legs for like hours while we were sitting on the couch with the kids in the room. Like, he's just rubbing on my legs, just sweet. And I'd go to the bedroom and be ready to have sex. And I was like, dang, that's so weird. I don't need foreplay with him. I'm a foreplay person. But I'd had all the foreplay I needed when he was rubbing my legs, because I'm a sensual person. I like touch. So you touch on me for an hour, even in a very non-sexual way, and I might not need foreplay because that was the foreplay. And then you've got people who are the other of sex languages are kinky and shapeshifter. And so I do have to let people know, like, kinky doesn't mean crazy, right? It
Right.
can, but it doesn't have to mean that. It
Right.
can just mean that you really get excited when you're going to have sex outside of the bedroom, because the bedroom is the thing you always do. So
Hmm.
maybe it's not very exciting. Or you're gonna go, you're gonna be at a hotel room and you're gonna be having sex somewhere different, or you go do some adventurous thing, and suddenly your adrenaline's pumping and your dopamine's going crazy and oxytocin is there because you did it together, and now you're like, whoo, now I can have sex, let's get in the back of the car. And maybe not your normal, but kinky doesn't have to be crazy. And then the fifth one, and I do like that there are five because it reminds me of the love languages, is that
Mm-hmm.
so it's helpful. But there's a shapeshifter, and that's just a person who either can kind of need a little bit of all of those or can kind of go with any of those. Like all of those things can happen at any given time. So do like that little quiz. It's like $17 through her website, and they give you this 28-page write-up of what, kind of your language or erotic blueprint, and kind of how it interacts with this erotic blueprint versus this one. And I do usually tell people it's good to pay for the one that gives you your percentages,
Mm-hmm.
because if if it says I'm a sensual, but maybe my sensual, energetic, and kinky are all even, but it
Right.
Mm-hmm.
just kind of picks the one that, whatever, that doesn't, I may be functioning off of something that isn't exactly true to me.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so I feel like it's worth the money. I usually have my clients take it.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
we're
good.
gonna
And
take
it's just
it.
something you should share. You should share with your partner too, right?
Hmm.
Yes,
And that'll
Yeah.
be
yes,
a great way to communicate very easily about sex.
Yeah, I was saying that because even if you know what you are and you're different than your partner, then it's best that it's just like the love languages. It's best that you guys know what you are when it comes to that sexual
right,
language.
Yeah,
right,
and then you can,
Because you might
make-
like kinky, I might not like kinky.
but that may
But
make you want to.
we both like something else.
Or
You
it
know,
may say, okay, I may not like this as much, but he likes it. So let me try it and see if it's something that I do like. Because obviously this is something that's going to be very pleasing to him because he scored 70%, or
right,
whatever.
right.
right. Well,
So even though it may not be my thing, I may want to compromise and say, if this is this much of his thing, let's be creative.
right. Well, and if my husband is a sexual, so he's down for, he's just down for sex, right? And so however, if he expected that same thing out of me because he didn't know mine, or he's looking at it like the love languages, people go, well, you should just know that when I give you gifts that I love you. I know that's not your love language, but that's mine, so you should just
Right.
know. Well,
And
that's
that's
not
not
how
how
that
that works.
works.
No,
No.
Right.
it's
At
not how that
all.
So
works.
so with the sex language, it's the same thing, as you
Yeah,
know, and Dr. Mia is just, if if he's a sexual, so he's good anytime, but he knows that I need the lights to be right and the temperature to be right and the music to be going, and I need to be in a good headspace, and all those things. Well, he may be it may not be the most fun for him to have to think, okay, I need to do these things, or oh, she might not be in the mood for it tonight because she's been really, she's had kid stuff all day or something. But it
right.
helps him know that either if I'm saying no, it's probably not about him,
Yeah.
or if it takes a little longer to get me there in the mood or whatever, that he knows how to do that. And because if he just expect, I've had this happen in my office more than once where men will come in and say, I just don't understand why she doesn't want sex as much as I do. And
That's
first of all, you're a man, she's a
right.
woman. I mean, there's a difference. And what are y'all do? Well, I mean, I just, if I come home from work and I want to have sex, I don't, if the kids aren't there, I just don't understand why she doesn't want to have sex.
She got 1,000 other things to do, perhaps.
Right. And but so I think the big thing is understanding that men
Okay.
and women are different, partners
Yeah.
are different.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it's the woman who wants to have sex all the time. It's just not as often. But having that communication and the erotic blueprint opens up the door for discussing all kinds of things, because if you talk about like, oh well, this is my sex language, then, and you're confused as a wife partner, that, well, that's interesting because the last few times we've had sex, I feel like we've done these things, but I've maybe not felt like your erection was as good the last few times. So that feels confusing to me. Opens the door for a discussion about what's going on with the body,
Hmm.
how, maybe they should have blood work done, maybe they should get testosterone checked. And it just allows for you to be vulnerable, open, honest, and human, and
Hmm.
not just expect that we're going to be these sexual, beast forever,
Hmm.
because
We
we
may have to
do.
work at it.
Yeah, we are going to have to work at it, and it's
Yeah,
going to
you have
be
to.
a little
Yeah,
different.
absolutely. I mean, especially as you get older and your body start changing and the things you used to do 15 years ago is not the same.
Right.
Right.
And the fact that the body just changes. And I think people just understanding that it is normal human development that your body changes as you age and mature. But I
Yeah.
think what's most important for people to know that is that now with technology and science, we know that there are things that we can do that even though our bodies are going to change naturally, it's some things that we can do with our wellness, with our lifestyle, with our health, with hormone balance, with intimacy services. So if men are having problems with erections, there are actual procedures that we can do to give them better erections, longer erections, stronger erections, so that they can continue to enjoy sex. And the same for women. There are vaginal rejuvenation procedures, there are O shots, there are ways out there to keep the tissue healthy, strong, orgasmic, sensitive, and to make sure that you can continue to have orgasms. And then bringing in the communication is going to make for better orgasms, and intimacy in general is what I want everybody to remember is going to help with oneness in your relationship. It is necessary for oneness. The less intimate that we are, the more isolation we will have, the more we grow apart, and the worse the relationship turns out. So,
Right.
communication is so important for intimacy and oneness and happiness in any relationship. So, let's take the
Yep.
time to communicate effectively so we can experience everlasting intimacy till death do us part.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
remember that, dirty talk is, when we think about just the name of this this episode, right? That dirty talk is about reassurance and affirmation, and it doesn't have to be this, you know, raunchy, nasty thing when people think about dirty talk. It's really about using the words that suit you, using the words that really suit your partner and y'all's relationship, and incorporating some of that playful language can shift a mood really quickly. So instead of having this, this continuous spike of cortisol going on, that your partner bringing in a little sexy dirty talk or a little flirty fun with language can actually shift that, so
Mhm.
that you're back in your body and you're out of your head, and you are now like connecting a little bit different. Cortisol levels have time to shift a little bit, and and also using some dirty talk at this age might be really helpful when I say reassurance and affirmation, because if he's not feeling quite as, you know manly, or she's not feeling quite as sexy, or whatever the case may be, those words that we say to our partners can really give a lot of like confidence building moments, and it can help them stop focusing on, oh, I need to keep my clothes on because I don't want him to see my, my belly, or I don't want him to see my this or that, or
Right.
and vice versa, because men can be self-conscious just as easily.
Hmm.
That when we rub on each other, and or give those little micro touches during the day, that it builds your confidence, it makes you feel more secure in that relationship. And so when we say dirty talk, it doesn't really have to be all that dirty. It really just has to be those little things that we're not saying to the person we're passing on the street. We should be
Right.
saving those for that person that we plan to be in bed with.
Something to boost the relationship.
Yes.
Yes. And the
Absolutely.
intimacy and the
All right.
enjoyment thereof.
So today is Talk Dirty to Me with Dr. Misty Smith. Thank you very much, Dr. Mia and Coach Joseph. What's the next episode, Doc?
I have absolutely no idea, but it's gonna be
Me either.
real
So
good. We have the best guests on our
yes.
podcast. Thank you so much, Dr. Misty Smith, for always sharing all of your great information because you're really in a field that not many people know a lot about. Being a sex therapist is you're probably like one out of,
Oh, I don't know. There might be 10 in the state of Alabama now, but when
Wow.
I started, it was pretty low.
but you
Yeah.
have a lot. How long have you been doing, have you been focused on sex therapy?
Oh, 12 years now.
12 years.
So you are the guru in the state. So
Yes,
if
Yeah.
y'all are looking for some help in that department, you have Dr. Misty Smith.
that's
Reach
She
right.
out
is
to her.
amazing with lots of experience. And a lot of us just need to face the facts that it may require some sex therapy, couples, individual, for us to get our intimacy, and our physical intimacy specifically where we want it. So we can experience the gift from God.
Yes.
Thank you, Lord. Look. All right, so we'll catch y'all on the next episode. Thank you, Dr. Misty. Thank you, Coach Joseph. And as y'all know, I'm Dr. Mia. We'll see y'all next time with the Ageless Vitality